All right, so check out this article from Forbes. Airbnb just launched new surveillance bugs to make sure guests behave. Is that true? Zach Doffman from Forbes, your article, is that right? Is Airbnb spying on guests without hosts knowing? That's pretty creepy. That's some 1984 stuff. So no one knows Airbnb like your boy Sean knows Airbnb. So let's get into this article and let's get into the facts and talk to you about guest surveillance. All right, welcome back, Airbnb family. So Zach Doffman is a contributor at Forbes, and he wrote this article. That was the original title for the article. He's since actually changed the title, and we'll get to that in a second. Now, Zach, I will say I have some friends who are contributors at Forbes, and I know how hard it is to keep up with quota, so I'm not going to burn you too bad. But I will tell you that this title is false for a couple reasons, and let's break it down word for word. So, Airbnb just launched. False. Airbnb did not just do anything, and they didn't launch anything either. See, Airbnb does not own any technology on the market right now at all for surveillance. All right, so they didn't launch anything. Now, he said new surveillance bugs. So Airbnb did not launch any bugs, and what we're going to correct you on, they didn't launch either. So there is no surveilling of guests going on. That is just markedly false. Also, to make sure that guests behave is probably the only thing that's true here, is Airbnb has an initiative to make sure that guests behave. But let's go to the new title, all right? So he thus did change the title, his editor probably told him to. Airbnb is recommending surveillance devices to make sure guests behave. And even that isn't entirely true because, like I said, there's no surveillance going on anywhere. Now, this actually comes from an article that Airbnb actually already released, and it's been circulating the internet. It's on Airbnb's community website. Let's leave that for you in the description so you could read it. Airbnb recommends 3 separate monitoring devices for noise, anti-party devices. But there's actually no surveillance. And let me tell you why. See, when you think of surveillance, you think of cameras watching you, your identity, facial recognition, recording your voice like Google Home or Alexa, right, Amazon?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
When you think of surveillance, you think of spying on you with like little hidden cameras, facial recognition, recording your every move, or like recording your voice like Google Home or Alexa would, and they suddenly just know everything that you say or do, and then all of a sudden you get that creepy, weird ad for a product you've actually never even looked up, but you mentioned casually to your friends once, and now it's in your phone. That's what we think of when we think of surveillance. Now, these devices, what they do is they monitor the state of your home. Right? They monitor the level of noise, they monitor the level of humidity, any motion within your home, but they don't actually record any specific incidences that can be connected to anyone's identity or the words that they've actually said. So Airbnb's recommended 3 separate devices. I personally know of 2. One I like, one I don't. The first one that I don't like is Noise Aware. It plugs into an outlet in your wall and it like monitors the level of noise in your home. And if that noise is like high for any sustained period of time, it'll send you a push notification and it records that data. Cool. But minute point, the point system, it crushes it because it not only does that, it's actually, here's the point system right here. Way cool. So the point system actually does a few things. It looks like a smoke detector, goes in the ceiling. It's got a magnetic plate, so you install the plate, goes anywhere, right? And now, when you remove this plate, you get notifications. Wow, point removed from or put back onto its mounting plate. That was really cool. Oh, and I also hit the reset button. So you get really cool. Let me hit a screenshot for that. I'm gonna actually give that to you guys. Okay. So what happens is Minute Point has tamper notifications, moving notifications, reset button notifications. It also monitors noise level. So if it gets loud, just like the other system, but it monitors humidity. So if somebody's abusing your HVAC, and let's say you have one of those air conditioners that freeze over when like somebody's like turning it way too low. One of my very first Airbnbs I stayed at in South Florida was the case. We turned on the air conditioner and it was super hot in there, so we turned the cold air conditioner all the way down to try to cool as fast as possible, and then the air conditioner froze over, like the air filter froze, and it became a sheet of ice and stopped working, and then we had to thaw it out. It's happened here in Dallas a few times too with some of our properties. You can prevent that with this. It also has motion detection, so if no one's supposed to be in the home, you can turn motion detection on. It does pressure and mold and humidity and all these other things. So like if you have a sump pump in the basement and you start to like have a water leak and the water's getting backed up anywhere, this will find out because of the humidity. There's a lot that you can do with this, and we use it as a very central part of our home wellness monitoring system. This is part of my pitch. It's in my pitch deck to landlords that I use the point system. So anyway, that's what it does do, but what it does not do is it does not record words. It does not record vocal samples. It does not record people's faces. It doesn't do anything that can be attached to the identity. There is no surveillance. So Zach, you would need to again change the name of your title to be 100% fully accurate, but I'm not going to burn you too bad on that. Like I said, this is just the facts of the matter here. Now, why Airbnb is doing this is very much the straight case. It's to make sure that guests behave. See, Airbnb will have your back as much as they possibly can. So for those of you hosts that are concerned about hosting on Airbnb and then somebody throwing a party, in some ways, even if you didn't have something like this, you're good in some ways. So like I have a friend, Sean Ray, who has another YouTube channel, and he's like with this buy the house Airbnb guy. He had somebody throw such a big party that they broke the floor. So many people that they broke the floor in his 1920s home and just wham, right? He got paid out $15,000 plus something else. It was huge. So Airbnb covers you with the host guarantee against damages, right? But what about the other damages that you can't put a dollar amount on? Like for example, let's say your neighbors hate you because somebody throws a party. Now your neighbors are going to actively try to prevent you from doing Airbnb. Well, let's say like this apartment complex that I'm in. I'm at in a pretty nice apartment complex in downtown Dallas, right next to the American Airlines Center. And there's a company called Locale who has 6 apartments here that they do rental arbitrage at this Greystar property. So Greystar does allow rental arbitrage on a case-by-case basis. So Locale has apartments in here, and the thing is that there's floors full of apartments, right? So they've got the same unit, like the O2 unit, on 3 separate floors. They stack on top of each other because if people are out late, they'll walk on the ceiling of the person below them. That's pretty smart. Otherwise, you'd want to get a whole floor to prevent any crosstalk or late night entry, people partying, drinking, stuff like that. To take a whole floor is a really good idea too. But they didn't do that. So let's say on the 12th floor of their one apartment, somebody's like throwing a rager. Well, everybody on the 12th floor can hear it. Everybody on the 12th floor has to deal with it, right? Now, the neighbors on the 12th floor could start to get sick of this and go to the landlord and say, you know, we're done. We're moving out. We don't want to live on the same floor as an Airbnb guest that's constantly throwing parties. So in your case here, what you would do to prevent that as the professional operator is you get something like this, so that way when it starts to get loud, you know, and like immediately, and then you go and you try to prevent it. And in a future video, I'll talk to you about my rapid escalation protocol for guest party prevention, because you need this and you need a response protocol, right? You need to find a way to get it to stop. We'll talk about it in the future. But by doing that, by having the technology and the systems in place to prevent the party before it really starts, you can prevent tenants from getting upset and then going to your landlord and trying to push you out of the building because they didn't think that it was going to be a bunch of parties. You didn't think it was going to be a bunch of parties because you're an optimist. You're like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to make money on Airbnb. And then that problem happens, right? So Airbnb is giving you the awareness of these multiple devices here, and they're actually giving you a discount on any of the 3, right? They're giving you probably the sickest discount that I could find on any of the 3. See, I've got a 25% discount off of Minute Point. The discount code's like Sean25. You can get 25% off as many as you like, but if you buy your first one from Airbnb, you get it for like even cheaper, like way cheaper than even my discount code can give you. So like Airbnb is really giving you like insanely discounted access to a noise monitoring, not surveillance, but noise monitoring device to prevent you from having instances where there's parties and damage, because it saves them in their pocket because they've got to pay you for damages if they happen. And it helps us prevent all those extra abstract losses from when something goes wrong and then your neighbors, your landlord, they want to stop doing business with you. See, all of us hosts, we're trying to manage the reputation of the Airbnb community, right? We're all in this together. If there's a bunch of parties and people getting shot like it's been in the news and all this other random stuff, Airbnb will have the hardest time keeping its name clean and getting us the ability and the right to host and to do what we want with our properties can be much more difficult just because of the media. A lot of you may know that the Supreme Court of Texas did rule that Austin's regulations telling homeowners that they cannot Airbnb their single-family homes, it was unconstitutional. So in some states, we're making some great grand strides towards our constitutional right to do what we want with our property. But in rental arbitrage, that's still the owner. The owner can decide if he wants his property to be short-term rented, and then he can give you permission, or she can give you permission, and from there, it's your guys' collective constitutional right to host an Airbnb in Texas. How awesome is that? So we are making strides. If any of you have questions about other ways to prevent parties, other technologies that I use, other things that I think about Airbnb, let me know. I'm officially also endorsed by Airbnb now, guys. This isn't like some full-on, like I don't work for Airbnb, but I'm part of something called their affiliate program. I will leave the link in the description. Essentially, they're super excited now about this channel, and they think that there's a lot of good going on here. So I'm gonna continue to teach you guys how to be awesome hosts and make it possible for people around the world to start hosting. And all that I ask is that in the description, you click that link to start hosting with me. That's all that we need. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching Airbnb Automated, and I'll see you on the other side.
Hi.